Hi, Mark Satawa, principal attorney at Satawa Law, and today's video vlog or video blog is on the topic of the 5 things to do if facing a false allegation of sexual assault. Sexual assault is terrible. For victims, it's a life-changing experience, something that they may struggle with for the rest of their life. But as multiple stories, including, for example, the Duke Cross case has taught us, it is equally terrible to be falsely accused of this crime. The consequences are severe and immediate. Frequently loss of reputation, loss of standing in the community. You could lose your job. You may not be allowed to go to your children's school. Again, the whispers in the neighborhood behind your back. These and many things are going to be swirling through your mind when you first get that news that you're being accused of something like this. So the question becomes, what do you do? Well, here are the 5 most important things to do when facing such a situation. First and foremost, very simple rule. And how often do lawyers do that, right? Very simple rule. Shut up. Keep your mouth shut. The initial reaction whenever we are falsely accused of anything is to say, I didn't do it. It's to offer an explanation and maybe even offer an apology. You must, and I do repeat, must keep yourself in check. You must resist the temptation to do that. You are not making it better. You are only making it worse. Your words will be twisted. And as they say on TV or in the movies, everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's what lawyers and prosecutors call an admission. If you're charged with something like this, everything you say to your friends, your coworkers, to police, to anyone is called an admission. It can be used against you, and even the slightest things can be twisted, turned on their head, warped out of recognition, and claim to be proof of what you did. And here's the other thing you have to be really careful of. That phone call you get from the girl you met at the bar last night, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-wife in the divorce case or custody case you're going through, or the father of your niece or your daughter's BFF, that phone call is probably not from that person. It's probably from the police. The person on the other end of the phone is certainly going to be the friend or loved one that you know, but it's being recorded. It's called a controlled phone call, and they are going to try to get you to either admit to what you did or at least apologize to what you did. And by even apologizing, you're on some level admitting to the offense, and you have to be careful. So again, rule number 1, keep yourself in check, shut up. Rule number 2, immediately run, do not walk, do not pass go, do not collect $200 to hire an attorney. Now look, there are a lot of great lawyers out there, and there are a lot of great lawyers that really, really specialize in certain cases. Let me tell you, criminal defense is a specialty, and it is not something that somebody should do as part of a general practice. Well, I do a little PI, I do a little probate, a little bit of estate work, a little bit of divorce, and yeah, I dabbled in criminal defense. In fact, these cases, sexual assault cases in all of their forms, child molestation, date rape, sexual assault, they are all different. They are, in fact, more different than any other criminal case. Than a theft, an embezzlement, or a property crime is different from a bankruptcy. You need a specialist. So when you're interviewing that lawyer that you need to hire, because again, that lawyer is a buffer, whereas everything you say is an admission like we just talked about, everything the lawyer says is not an admission. It's not an admission of anything. He's an advocate. That's why you need the lawyer talking to Child Protective Services. That's why you need a lawyer to talk to the police. That's why you need a lawyer to talk to the potential victim or the potential victim's family if they're contacting you. That's why you need a lawyer to talk to the prosecutor. It's why you need a lawyer to talk to the public and declare your innocence, because nothing they say can be used against you. Everything you say can be used against you. So how do you find out who is an experienced and really a specialist with expertise in sex crimes cases? Well, you talk to them, you interview them, you ask them questions like, so can you tell me what the forensic interviewing protocol is? Who is your standard expert if the child is 6 years old making the accusation and was interviewed in the forensic interviewing protocol? Do you have a standard SANE nurse, which is sexual assault nurse examiner expert that you use? What about a medical expert? Do you have an OBGYN that could testify if we need it for things like damage to genitals, to the hymen, to the labia majora, to the vagina? How do you go about defending these cases? What techniques do you use? What is your opinion on whether I should testify and not come to trial? How are you going to get me ready to testify or give direct testimony? And am I going to do any kind of practice cross-examination? If I'm going to do practice cross-examination, how do you do that? Again, ask questions that are probing. Another good one is, what is your general philosophy? And of course, the lawyer is going to say every case is different. What is your general philosophy on whether or not a client should testify in his own defense at trial when charged with a sex crime? Because I'll tell you, 90% of my clients, when falsely accused of something like this, get in front of a jury, they look the jury in the eye and they say, I didn't do this. Now, there are, of course, reasons why they don't do that sometimes, and we handle those on an everyday basis. But you'll know you're dealing with, quite frankly, somebody who's practicing it safe, who's practicing out of a book, Criminal Defense 101, if they don't have those experts, if they don't know what the forensic interviewing protocol is, if they don't understand the linguistic development of young children, or quite frankly, they don't have an opinion in general about whether defendants charged with these crimes should testify or not. So what is step 3? Step 3 is to immediately go out and establish a timeline. Even before you're hiring an attorney or contemporaneously with it, you need to sit down. Your memory is not going to be as good 2 weeks from now as it is today, 2 months from now as it is today, 2 years from now as it is today. Sit down and start writing things down. Establish a timeline. Try to get as much information as you can about when these allegations occurred. Write down the names of witnesses. Write down what those witnesses can say. Where were you? Who else was there? What else was going on? They say this happened at a Christmas party. All right, well, who was at the Christmas party? Where was the Christmas party located? What else was happening? Was it in a small building such that you couldn't have had any privacy and this couldn't happen? Or was it in a large apartment complex? These things end up mattering, and they matter a lot. In fact, they are critically important towards helping you and your lawyer, perhaps being the key piece of evidence or the key factor in the difference between freedom, acquittal, and conviction, and prison, and sex offender registration. Step 4, talk to your lawyer about testing. Again, this is why these cases are different. They're not theft cases. They're not embezzlement cases. Clients charged with that stuff don't need to worry about this typically. You do. If you are being falsely accused of a sex crime, you need to take the offensive. There's no defense here, people. We want to go on the offensive. We want to blow these charges out of the water. First step is to try to get them to not be charged at all. You don't need to be charged with criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. You want to defeat the case as quickly as possible. How do you do that? As I said, step 4, talk to your lawyer about testing. What kind of testing am I talking about? Well, first and foremost, you can talk to your lawyer about taking a polygraph. A private polygraph is something that is privileged. There is a polygraph examiner subject privilege that attaches to that test, and the test will furthermore be done under the attorney-client privilege. What that means basically is this: you, your polygraph examiner, and your lawyer are the only 3 people that are going to know you're going to take that test. If you pass it, you wave it like a flag in front of the prosecutor, and you say to and the police, "My guy passed a polygraph. He didn't do this." If you fail, no one knows about it, and quite frankly, lots of results fall into the category that polygraph examiners call inconclusive. Well, what that means is for whatever reason you can't pass the test, but at least you know now whether or not polygraph is a weapon that can be used to help you defend the case. What other kind of testing can you do? Well, you could get a sex offender risk assessment done right away. You could get testing done on you medically to determine if you have any evidence that this sexual act occurred. Test yourself for sexually transmitted diseases. If you have one and the defendant accusing you of date rape from the night before doesn't, well, that could be pretty compelling evidence that you didn't do what that girl said you did. You can get drug tested. If they claim that you got high, that you were under the influence of drugs when you did this, and you have a drug test that's contemporaneous with the day after these allegations surfaced, well, then, you know, that again could be really, really helpful information to you and to your lawyer to help prevent you from going to prison, from being convicted. And it could be the ticket to your freedom, the ticket to your acquittal. You may need to hire a medical examiner or a sexual assault nurse examiner to review. And again, private investigators, before people start choosing sides, if you were at a party last night and a girl at that party claims that you forced herself on you and your defense is no, this was consensual, you don't want those party goers, you don't want your friends to start picking sides. Hire a private investigator. Have that private investigator interview everyone at that party. What happened? Please tell us the way the complaining witness was acting with the defendant. What kind of flirting was going on? Were they evidencing any public displays of affection? What was going on between them? When did they leave? Can you tell us what they looked like when they leave? Who left first? Did she leave first or did he leave first? Where did they go? Did they disappear more than once from a party? Did you look and find them in the backyard making out on a Chase lounge chair? You know, those kinds of things are all things that a private investigator can get in a witness statement and formalized, memorialized early in the case. And again, the earlier you get that stuff done, the better. Again, the list can go on and on. It's limitless about what you and your lawyer may need to do at this very, very early stage, but the earlier, the better. 5, last, but certainly not least, compose a list of witnesses. It's fresh in your mind now, even if it's 2 years old. It's fresher in your mind today than it's going to be 6 months from now when you're getting ready for trial. So it becomes incredibly important to immediately sit down and compose a list of witnesses. Did the girl from the bar last night or the party claim that you sexually assaulted her and you thought it was consensual? Then write down the name of every single person that was at that party. Did your niece claim that you sexually molested her at Thanksgiving? Write down a list of everyone that was at Thanksgiving. Now, here's the problem. You say, well, you know, Mark, you don't understand. The charge in my case goes from July of 2017 to August of 2018. How am I supposed to write down a list of witnesses for a 12 or 13-month period of my life? It's not as difficult as you think, because if, for example, it is your ex-wife claiming that you did this, or your stepwife claiming it was to her stepdaughter, or it was your niece complaining, you know, that it happened at family events. So if it's your niece, how many times did you see her last year? 5? You saw her at her birthday party? Write down everyone that was at her birthday party. You saw her at Thanksgiving? Write down everyone that was at Thanksgiving. You saw her at the 4th of July party? Write down everyone that was at the 4th of July party. And then you saw her at, you know, your mother, her grandmother's birthday party. Well, you write down everyone that was there. And you don't just write down names. You have to be the best eyewitness, the best paralegal, and the best private investigator. What I'm really saying is you got to be the best source of information for your lawyer. And by doing that, you don't just send him, oh, here's a list of 7 or 10 or 20 names. You send him names, addresses, email addresses, phone number, a biography. Who is this person? You know, what relationship do they have to you, to the victim, to the case? And finally, a short, few sentence to paragraph summary of what you expect that witness to say. So that can go to your lawyer and to probably your lawyer's private investigator for that person to go out and start interviewing these people and getting them on record, written down as to what they would say if called as a witness at your trial. That's it, folks. Look, it's terrible. No one should have to go through this if they're falsely charged. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. These cases can be won, and they do get won. But you have to start fast. You have to start immediately. And I'm going to say it one last time. You have to shut up. That's today's vlog, folks. The 5 most important things to do if falsely charged with a sexual assault. It's important. Do them now. Do them immediately. Pay attention to this stuff. And I'm going to say it one last time. Shut up. Shut up. Don't talk to anyone. Hire a lawyer. Until next time, I'm Mark Satawa, Principal Attorney at Satawa Law. And remember, we are always defending your rights and protecting your future.